What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stochastic here in the Odd Trapper channel, coming to you with a quick Monday 12-game MLB-only edition of MLB Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell goes a long way for me on this video, goes a long way for you. That way you become apprised whenever great content is going live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods, and it is back to being great. Thank you to PCA right off the bat. That was very, very useful. Friday, I couldn't have been more down in the doldrums if I had tried, but between that, Kyle Manzardo did not go yard, but Ranger Suarez over 5.5 strikeouts, plus 110 there. I bet a lot more plus money things, especially in MLB props, than probably get credit for, but you know, it is what it is. Overall, this entire weekend was just a wagon. It was a wagon. Ended up hitting every single outright on any play on Saturday, Sunday in the MLB streets for the premium Discord. If you hit me up on X, I gave 2 free home runs that ended up going yeah. And then, hey, Matt Modi carrying the wagon there on Saturday with the Jackson Holiday call. I ended up backing it up on Sunday. He goes yard again. So overall, an unbelievable weekend. Back to the stuff that we needed. A multiple, over a 10-unit weekend for me Saturday, Sunday, between the home run plays, between the outright plays. I mean, just basically hit absolutely everything, and then tailed some other sharp people and stuff. I believe it was only 6.5 units within the Lindy Discord, but that is phenomenal progress from where we've been here in recent weeks, and so feel really good about that. Lindy 5, if you guys want to come in and join that wave, come ride the wave, because feel pretty good about the process. It starts to get locked in right around now, which sucks. I tell myself every year, Eric, take it easy in April. April hasn't been profitable the last 2 years, and you've had MLB be your best season no matter what. Yet again, April. Good job, Eric. But yeah, ended up having an awesome weekend. I think everybody in the premium Discord extremely happy as well. And Friday, obviously it wasn't like a Hulk smash of a video, but overall felt really good about the reads. Outside of, I mean, Corbin Burns with the stuff open and just goes completely yeah. And then it's 14-2 on Saturday for Colorado and Arizona, and then 1-0 today with the roof closed. It's almost like that matters. We're going to pay attention to weather all the time because it affects everything we do, and we can account for it earlier than I'm doing this the night before. I'm going through every single weather spot. I think there's a lot of them. We got Tampa Bay back in our lives, Steinbrenner Field. I think there's a couple of other advantageous spots. We'll talk about the ins and outs. We start with the lean like lock, and I'll show you. If you're new to the video here, I can show you exactly how we do things. Producer Jacob would love to pull that graphic up for everybody right from the get-go. But without further ado, leans first, then likes, and we'll get the heck up out of here because there's no NBA. So Producer Jacob, let's get to the picks. As I was saying, lean, not yet a play. Like, it's usually a quarter unit to 0.99 units. Why 0.25? Well, I'm not going to put anything that's like 0.1. Oh, do a little sprinkle. That's reserved for if I want to do like a 2 home run play in the premium Discord or something, which again has happened 1 time all year so far. Over 1 this year, 3 for 6 last year. No big deal. And locks, those are going to be 1 or more units. So you can see the red, not a play yet. Like caution, and you want to be pretty stringent. And there is a quarter unit outright play. I'll explain about that one on this because I do not trust my data whatsoever on this. I'm very nervous about the spot. And then the lock, obviously, that is not going to be on this video, but if you see it throughout the entire week, hopefully we can get back in the rhythm with some of these locks because obviously last week got absolutely torched. 1 for my last 3. Thank you, Shohei Ohtani, for existing. So, anywho, without further ado, like season, but you guys want to join the premium Discord? I bet you do. I bet you do. Yes, Producer Jacob, I meant lean season. I suck. Lindy and Fred's Discord, $5 for your first week to be able to jump in. Everybody's pretty darn happy with me over the weekend. They were not very happy with me previously in the week, and then 2 weeks previous, which was not very pretty. But anyway, Lindy 5, we are back in a rhythm, feeling the ride. End up getting Jackson Holiday plus 950 across the board here on Sunday. CJ Abrams plus 600 homer. That was very useful. Jackson Holiday on Saturday. Thank you, Matt Modi, yet again. Firing that one up on Friday. PCA, hey, James Wood hit 3 home runs on Friday, given out for free in the Lindy's Long Balls Short, which you can see here on the lovely YouTube channel that we have. So you can check it out. Producer Jacob, let's get ourselves to the leans now. It was also within the thread at Eric Lindquist. That's where you can follow me right there at Eric Lindquist. Make sure you follow that home run thread because I'll throw in bonus bombs myself, people from Tails. It's a beautiful time to be alive. But Lindy's Leans, I really love PCA. I don't know if you knew that already. Obviously, he goes yah for us Friday. Doesn't go yah for us Saturday, but kept it pretty mediocre as far as like the quarter unit play. And well, he ends up smacking it for us. That's still profit. And guy's just been a god. He should be higher in MVP voting. He was still available at like 35-1 last time I looked. And well, Shohei Ohtani is still Shohei Ohtani. That makes it very, very difficult. You also have Kyle Tucker on his own team that has a lot of months ahead of him to be able to just have the protection of PCA now. 2 lefties, 1-2 at the top of this lineup. But I think there's a number of ways that I want to attack this one. I'm just not sure what the numbers are because you go from Wrigley Field Friday, Saturday to Sunday, the wind blowing in, and it completely changed the dynamic and the pricing. And it's hard for me to be able to predict when I'm using last 10 data to be able to really tell you where these props are going to land. I do have 2 props that are coming up in our very last 2 games of today's slate, and I love both of them for what it's worth, and haven't been able to even have an opportunity to bet them yet because the numbers aren't out. But historical pricing, I give you the break-even numbers like I always do, let you know where I will be betting it in any kind of a realm there, and then it'll be half unit play on each, and actually quarter unit because one's a home run. Anyway, PCA Smatch, he's just been an absolute god walking around the earth amongst men as a 23-year-old, kicking it. Must be nice. 517 expected slugging, second best now on the team behind the aforementioned Kyle Tucker, who's got a 406 xWOBA. I mean, both of these guys look awesome. Going up against Edward Cabrera, making his first start in a while after being dinged up. 451 expected slugging, 346 xWOBA. Lots of problems. But Ben Brown's also very, very interesting. He's actually the pitcher I project for the most strikeouts on the entire slate tomorrow, closer to like that 6.5 number. I have no idea where books are going to be pricing him here. And you get Xavier Edwards out of the Miami lineup. You get Matt Mervis, who I never know if they're going to actually put into these lineups because he strikes out all the time, and his power has just dwindled after a really, really nice start to his season. 303 expected slugging is just horrific, bro. Just horrific. But they're playing Eric Wagaman now over him at first base, sometimes playing the outfield as well. Kyle Stowers has just been on fire. I really want to reassess this one tomorrow, but I think Brown K-ladder, because you talk about like the probabilities as you progress up the scale, could be looking at 7, 8, 9 being in the range of outcomes and pulling a Merrill Kelly of his own there in Miami tomorrow. All right, Lodolo, 4.5 strikeouts. This is just weird to me because I've always loved Lodolo's stuff, and he gets to go up against Pittsburgh. We know Pittsburgh against lefties, they like to strike out a lot. 27% K rate, 26.9. Actually, I lied by 0.1. I apologize to my friends and family. 69 WRC plus. They're also against Southpaws. Not very good numbers. Not very good numbers at all. We've seen a number of spots. Again, I've just been attacking Pittsburgh with lefties as much as I humanly possibly can, but the numbers have kind of caught up here. And I think Mitch Keller on the other side, I'm not going to be betting Cincinnati outright because I think Mitch Keller does enough good things at this stage of his career, not striking guys out. 292 expected batting average sucks, but limits base runners, really good walk numbers, really good at barrel limitation, 7.4% barrel percentage on the season. So Lodolo K's, just because I think that curveball against Pittsburgh could be very effective. Yet another pitcher I need to look at the lineup before I really do anything about it. So probably just be sitting on my hands waiting for that one to come out. First 5 under 4.5. This is a market that was just thriving for us when we started breaking into it. I didn't even update any of my first 5 data until like the end of April. Started putting them onto the card. We hit our first 3. Now we've missed 4 in a row, but there is a first 5 that's going to show up on the card for today. So again, I'm paying attention to this because if something isn't profitable, I'm not going to keep betting it unless I figure out exactly what the hell is wrong with me. And some books are starting to put like 30 cents, 15 cents on both sides, not even dime lines for these first 5 under 4.5. That makes it extremely difficult to beat this market long-term. So you got to pay attention to the pricing, even FanDuel, because I mean, that's where this is currently located at that I'm looking at. First 5 under 4.5, even though it's right around even money, minus 130 on the over. Like, what is actually going on with some of these lines? Because now you're trimming the variance for it. It's really not worth it. You'd be better off just betting the full game at that point in either direction, because the half run actually, again, just an insane pricing issue there. So we're going to stay away from it for now, but there's one that I think is way off that we have an opportunity to bet. Houston and the Rays, Jeremy Pena. Talked about the 2+ hits. Nobody hit me up on Friday. Guess what? Nothing showed up in the 2+ hits when it was all said and done because the Bobby Witt number was a joke. I know some people ended up playing that. I'm very, very happy for you. I did not end up playing it myself, which obviously sucks, but either way, I did think Kyle Stowers was probably the guy who I got closest to playing on that Friday. Again, I think it's a market I want to be breaking into on this program. Just really want to do a good job of assessing it before I do. Just check out the water more. We've had enough cold streaks on this program here in the course of the beginning of May that I really don't want to force in a market that isn't efficient, but I think it's an inefficient market. And Jeremy Pena, 2+ hits here, going up against a guy who struggles against righties and Ryan Pepio. In fact, north of like a 1.6 whip against them. He's been closer to like a 1 whip against lefties. Yes, you could argue, oh, well, you're putting in worse lefties, but this is the game environment I kind of alluded to that I wanted to talk about. I think the park factors are going to be off the chain in this one. Looks as though we're going to get a very, very advantageous hitting situation. Yeah, I mean, you could probably say that all the time when you show up in Tampa Bay outdoors. We're almost to the summer here too, but Steinbrenner Field, it looks hot. It looks humid. It looks like the wind's going to blow out to right field. So I'll reassess this all, but Jeremy Pena, 2+ hits. That's my favorite as of right now. Cleaning up the lean categories here. Over 7.5 here for Cleveland and Minnesota. Just to touch base on this one. We've got Bailey Ober. You'd know by now, I don't like Bailey Ober, but I really don't love the number of strikeouts that he could have in this lineup. And Cleveland, I attacked them with a lefty today. Obviously, Bailey Ober is right-handed, but ended up cashing the over 4.5 strikeouts for Andrew Abbott on the hook. It was so beautiful. Last at bat, needed it. He was kind of struggling there down the end, the last two, and hey, he found a way to kind of tighten it up. But against righties, you get Nolan Jones, 30.3% strikeout rate. Kyle Manzardo, 26.7%. Sheeman been higher up in the order, except for he was buried 8th today, 26.4%. Gabriel Arias, 26.6%. Will Wilson, 34.6%. John Kenzie Noel, if he ends up against a righty who, obviously gives up hard contact, and John Kenzie Noel is there for that purpose, 30.5% K rate. I really got to look at the lineup configuration here. I assume Bo Naylor after getting the day off and having it be Austin Hedges on Sunday. That's why I ended up plugging and playing there. Bo Naylor hits it high and far generally, even though it's only a 203 expected batting average this season. As you can tell, I put in a lot of work on this slate and just not really feeling forcing in a thin play here. Have it closer to 7.9, but that's not going to beat the VIG long term. The vigorous should care about such things. I care about it a lot. Detroit taking on St. Louis, and Riley Green leads the Detroit Tigers in home runs now with 11, batting out of the cleanup spot. Kerry Carpenter at 9. He's actually just 2 back. But I mean, Kerry Carpenter, I just assumed when I was pulling up home run data that I was going to like Kerry Carpenter more, but 575 expected slugging for him. Pretty close here with Riley Green, 501 expected slugging. The main difference, Kerry Carpenter hits it really high, 21.2 degree launch angle. Riley Green, 10.9 degree launch angle. But you've traditionally gotten much worse numbers going to Riley Green, and I don't think it accounts for just how locked in Riley Green is here at the plate. Now, Kerry Carpenter also doesn't strike out. He doesn't walk. He's the weirdest leadoff hitter when it comes to that, but you want your best hitters getting the most at-bats, so analytics totally understand why they've had Kerry Bonds leading off throughout this entire season. Gleyber Torres, 551 expected slugging, 303 expected batting average. Traditionally now been in the 2-hole. I think that should continue. Zach McKinstry, let's get out of here with this stuff. Javi Baez, he's due for negative regression. Let's be very serious. Chris Bubich, Robbie Ray, they round out the lean categories here. 2 pitchers in awesome spots. Ended up on a parlay with Luis Severino on Saturday. I did not think the books did a very good job of pricing him for the upside you get going from his home ballpark there. Now, Kauffman is not nearly what it is there in Sacramento as far as a home ballpark, so Chris Bubich pitches in much better park factors than that of Luis Severino, and obviously their different-handedness and a lot of things that are different between the two. But Chris Bubich, I think, is in a really interesting spot here up against a San Francisco lineup that I think is definitely due for negative regression. And it's not that they're bad by any means, but you get Julio Ramos and Matt Chapman. You get Willy Adames up there higher in the lineup. Christian Casas is going to be somebody you're going to hear about a little bit. Although, I mean, you're in such a bad ballpark there in San Francisco that it's hard for any hitter to like break slates in DFS or, to really put up numbers that are gaudy that get like MVP kind of consideration. But not that San Francisco's worried about that. They just want to compete in a very, very difficult AL West with San Diego, with the Arizona, Colorado, generally been the stomping grouping of it. But anyway, Robbie Ray on the other side, I think, is also an interesting spot. Not in love with Kansas City going up against lefties here so far. 22% K rate isn't like the main deal, but they've had a really tough time getting to them. 67 WRC plus is the fourth worst in baseball. We're talking Baltimore and Colorado and the Angels and Pittsburgh. Those are not teams that you should be encapsulated around when you have Bobby Witt Jr. on your team, along with Sal Perez, who, I do think has positive regression spelled for him. So a little bit more time we spent here on the lean category. It's only 12 games, so I felt good about it. Hopefully that helps inform some of your betting decisions, and obviously it's going to help inform some of mine for tomorrow. I think that can be extremely valuable for all of us, but you know what's extremely valuable is finding more bets, and that's what Portfolio EV can do for you. And if you use promo code Lindy1, yes, promo code Lindy1 down at the link below, you can get a lot more of those MLB bets. It has been printing in the WNBA streets here over the weekend. Utilized it quite a bit in the market-based realm. I know Greg Ehrenberg posting his results every single day utilizing this tool. We got our guys, ND Joyce as well. Nathan Joyce, probably seen some of his shorts on the channel. 2 free weeks using promo code Lindy1. Get the best market-based tool comparing all of the sharp sports books to all of the softer books. No matter where you live, no matter what books you have access to, even in states like California and Texas and Florida, where it's a one-book street there with Hard Rock, there's other ways, whether it's Pick'em or Novig or ProfitX or some of these other sites where you can really get exposure to some goodness. So check it out down at the link below, friends. Lindy1, Portfolio EV, get acquainted now. All right, to the plays we go. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell as we start breaking down. I'm going to tilt that a little bit. There we go. Baltimore taking on Milwaukee, and son of a priest, man. Yeah, you know by now. Quinn Priester, not my favorite in the entire universe, but that's not all, friends. Dean Kramer is on the other side of this one, and Dean Kramer, yeah, there's going to be some bad outings. There's going to be some good outings, but I don't believe anything that he's done recently as far as some of these good outings go. He's still got very, very poor stuff plus over in Fangraphs. He's still somebody who's getting by on like random strikeout opportunities up against Minnesota. Went 7 strong in that one. Kansas City 7 strong in that one. But overall, 4 that he gave up to Minnesota in the next outing there, 5 he gave up to the Tigers, 5 to the Nationals on the road. He has not been very good on the road in general this season. So not that he's been good, period, in my opinion, but you look at some of his splits, home road splits, find that to at least be interesting that this has not gone very well for him there. From a platoon situation as well, some lefties that I think can cause him some problems. He's given up 10 home runs already on the year. One of the biggest power problems that exists. I think Milwaukee has enough there that they can make some runs happen, but I also think Baltimore is due for positive regression. This lineup, top to bottom, too many good lefties. Quinn Priester coming out there, man. He is just so brutal. I've got this north of the 9-run mark, and that becomes our first play. Over 8.5, minus 110, absolutely everywhere right now. I think you want to be playing that one and moving along with your day. Seattle and Chicago up next here. Yeah, there's not much else to say. Chicago's terrible, horrible, no good, very bad. Going to be tough to talk me into anything there, but Luis Castillo gets out of Seattle and into a ballpark that I think looks a little bit more advantageous for hitting tomorrow. Now, it doesn't look like absolutely incredible. I think we're going to have Coors Field, looks pretty darn good most of the time. Suter Health Park, that's going to be the one in Sacramento. That's on the slate. We talked about Steinbrenner Field already. I think that this looks all right. Right field looks as though the wind's going to be blowing across the field, maybe towards the right field pole a little bit. And that is not good news for either pitcher with some pull hitters here. Luis Castillo and Davis Martin. Now, Davis Martin has to deal with much better quality of hitters. Jorge Polanco, Julio Rodriguez, Randy Arozarena, but specifically from the left side, I love what I've seen from Rowdy Tellez lately. And Cal Raleigh as well. I think that both of them just hitting the baseball so damn hard. I mean, Rowdy Tellez, 507 expected slugging. You get him up against a bad righty and Martin giving up a 47.5% hard hit, 10.5% barrel percentage, and strikes out nobody at 15.7%. This is really good with that wind direction, I think, for tomorrow. I'm going to be looking at long balls on the Seattle side. Haven't bet any yet, need the numbers. But Luis Castillo, I'm not going to give him a free pass either. 4.8% hard hit, 18.2% K rate. I want to target these guys specifically. I think Chicago White Sox bullpen, it's better year over year than what it's been in the past. That's why they've got more wins than they had in the. It's not hard to be better than like last year's dog shit, like worst team of all time marks. But I think Seattle, I think this is also just a bullpen where I don't want to really be dealing with them either. They look pretty nails over the weekend. They've been getting by, obviously being in a great pitching ballpark there in Seattle, but on the road in San Diego look pretty impressive to me. I'm going to stay away and just go to the first 5 over 4.5 at even money. Have this north of 5 for the first 5. So I think it's more valuable to go here. Just entertain a pitcher I don't believe in, a Luis Castillo, and Davis Martin nobody believes in, except for maybe his parents. I bet he's a Major League Baseball player. I'm not going to give him too much shit, but he's not a good one. 2 down. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell as we go technically to my favorite play of the day. But here's the thing. I'm overwriting my data a little bit because I just don't trust this whatsoever. And the best available number right now is at Fliff. And I want to kind of take a look and see what other books end up dropping numbers. And if I have to reassess this tomorrow and take a look, I will. But I don't understand this. I get Christopher Sanchez has been really, really good this season. He's throwing a sinker. He's inducing a ton of ground balls. And we've seen strikeout upside from a lot of pitchers in Coors Field. But I don't know if 3 pitches and this changeup specifically to some of the righties is going to be as effective at altitude. And that's what I'm worried about. Christopher Sanchez, really good stuff. 326 expected slugging, 289 xWOBA. And Kyle Freeland on the other side, man, it's been brutal. 303 expected batting average, 475 expected slugging. And did you know the hitter who has the most left-handed home runs so far this season against left-handed pitching is a left-handed bat? Kyle Schwarber coming to the party here. Phillies, you get Bryce Harper at altitude, Kyle Schwarber at altitude, and then all the righties as well that make a little bit more sense. Castellanos, this would be a fun spot to see him. Trey Turner is due for positive regression. JT Realmuto, probably even more that he could be getting out of his batted ball profile so far. Alec Boehm on the up and up, 283 expected batting average now, despite the poor results to start off the season. I don't know what to say other than Colorado plus 2.5 is a ton to be getting here at even money against anybody, against a pitcher who isn't acclimated to Coors. And it just truly makes sense. I mean, we saw what Colorado did. You get feast and famine spots like this, but the data is what it is. In Colorado, getting 2.5 runs here is extremely valuable. This should be plus 1.5, minus 125 type number. And it's not. You're getting 2.5. It is so valuable to get that extra run. So anything better than minus 110, I would be playing this. I only played it for a quarter for now. I'll assess tomorrow. I don't know why my data loves this so much. The Angels taking on the Athletics. I mean, I know why it's 2.5 runs, but let's talk some hitter props and pitcher props, because that's really what went nuclear over the weekend. And boy, did Premium Discord deserve that one. Everybody hears about how good I am at this, and you're great, and then just NBA continues to thrive. NBA continues to be profitable. It wasn't actually on Sunday because the underdog card didn't hit, but just basically break even. Thank you to CS Berg. He actually threw out the goodie in the premium. Oh, you don't care about that. Okay. Angels and Athletics. Let's talk baseball, shall we? And let's talk what the Angels just did to the Dodgers. They swept them in Dodger Stadium this weekend. Okay. And the whole wheel of cheese. Okay. Baseball is going to do weird stuff from time to time. That's for sure. But you know what? The truth is with the hard hit data. And that's why I rely on it as much as what I do. And I have for 4.5 years of doing this program. And I think you should be doing it too. Zach Neto, right out the gate, nearly 20-degree launch angle, 51.4% hard hit, xWOBA 390, 582 expected slugging. I mean, just an unbelievable leadoff hitter. And they move Ward down, and things have gotten so much better for him with the Ward protection. You got Jorge Soler, who's just been awful to start off this season, but is due for positive regression as well. His numbers year over year over year, it can't be that much worse unless he's just hurt and not talking about it. But you know who's been extremely impressive and had the day off on Sunday? Logan O'Hoppe. And it's got more O-hops to it. We're going to go 50% hard hit, 481 expected slugging. The guy on the Angels, even with Ward going yard nonstop, Neto going yard nonstop over the course of this week, and Kyron Paris earlier in the season, it's been Logan O'Hoppe who's been showing up on the card for me more and more and more, purely because 20.4-degree launch with a 50% hard hit and the 90.7 mile per hour exit velocity here. He's had worse numbers than Ward at times, which hasn't really made sense to me. He is my favorite home run play in this one. If we get the numbers that I am assuming here, 335 or better, that'll be a quarter unit automatically, no matter what, but might even add a little bit more to him or some of these other pieces, because Suter Field looks unbelievable tomorrow and JT Ginn is awful. He's very bad. And rounding out the card, Arizona and the Dodgers don't have a ton to add here other than Josh Naylor and Arizona. they do some ridiculous stuff. 12 runs in a loss on Saturday, 1 run in a win on Sunday. Again, baseball can be crazy. You have to take this for what it is, and it is a long-term endeavor. If you take a 1-day sample size or a 1-week sample size and you copy paste it for anybody, they could look like a god or they could look awful. Now, when you get a weekend like I had, where you can finally just look at your bank account and say, yay, my wife won't kill me this weekend, you can feel much, much better about your process. But doesn't necessarily mean that things have changed. And I do think a lot of my process has just stayed the same. And now I'm running into positive variance. I doubled down some of my efforts because I had to just comb through and figure out why I suck so much. But Josh Naylor doesn't need to figure that out at all, because Josh Naylor, despite the fact that he's not going to be like your number one home run hitter, and, despite the fact that Cleveland was okay with saying bye-bye to him because they have Kyle Manzardo and they can play sort of a platoon if they want to with Arias, some of the other guys. Carlos Santana can play first, and obviously DH Manzardo against some right-handed pitching. Josh Naylor's good against lefties, against righties. He just gets bat on ball, and that sets up really nicely here against Landon Knack, who he's the 5th starter for the Dodgers. I don't believe in him or Dustin May, really. 53.7% hard hit for Landon Knack. The Dodgers coming off of getting swept. Bullpen used up a little bit more than they'd probably prefer over the course of the weekend against an Angels series that they just never had the better of the whole time. I like Arizona here in some capacity. Plus 116, I'm going to entertain, but I really like what I think the opening numbers are going to be on a number of these lefties. Alek Thomas looks like he'll be positive EV north of plus 200 for 1.5 total bases. Pavin Smith, I usually stay away from for what it's worth, because him and Grichuk do a lot of the platoon stuff. Might actually look to short him if I think, someone like the Vessias, some of the other bullpen arms on the Dodger side are advantageous. But Josh Naylor, he's not going anywhere. 285 expected batting average against everybody on this season. Only a 12% K rate. Yeah, he looks awesome. He doesn't run for shit. But Josh Naylor, over 1.5 total bases. Boy, do I like this one. Anything better than plus 145, and I definitely expect better than plus 145 here in Dodger Stadium. Let's fire it up. And Corbin Carroll's a god too, so we're going to pay attention to those numbers. And that does it for a baseball-only edition of MLB Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. Head to the comment section below. Let me know your favorite plays that exist on the board for this lovely Monday, May 19th slate we have before us. Producer Jacob's having a great day. He looks lovely. He's happy. His Celtics are done. My Minnesota Timberwolves are going to play Oklahoma City. That doesn't seem fun. We'll find out on Tuesday, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. Obviously, just check out the MLB thumbnail, because that's going to be where everything is going forward, because MLB getting the primary rub of it. Only one NBA game. Not sure what I will or won't have plays from. Don't want to, give you false advertising there with the old thumbnail. So it is what it is. Anywho, Lindy 5, not false advertising there. $5 for your first week, less than $1 a day to come check it out. If you enjoy money, which again, this weekend I enjoyed money, that come on in. Water's warm. All right, let's get out of here. Until next time, friends, I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck in the MLB streets on Monday.